Welcome to Insure Smart with Tapan Singhal. Today, our topic of discussion is customer centricity in the creation of policies. Now, when we are talking about this topic, of course, customers need to be on top. And one of the things that the industry is doing to keep customers on top is providing customization. But at what price is this customization coming? And is it really benefiting the customers? To answer these questions and more, we have today with us Mr. Tapan Singhal, MD and CEO of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, who will talk about this and the challenges that the industry may be facing. Welcome, Mr. Singhal, to this show. Customization is the buzzword these days, whether it's a bespoke suit, accessories, or even investment products. In fact, it is at the core of the customer centricity as I see it. So, how is it playing out in the insurance industry right now?
So, insurance industry has been known not to be flexible. Again, if I look at some of the products, let's say a fire product, or if I look at a marine product, if I look at a motor product, so the fire product would have existed in its similar structure for at least 300, 400 years. Marine product existed for about 500, 600 years. The motor product for about at least 90, 80 years, how it goes. But interesting developments have happened. I think the customer expectation behavior has been changing very rapidly over time. If you look at today's customer, because of the options that they have, easy access information which they have, they are not now going to sit and respect a product which is just made and whether they take it or leave it. It has to be customized. Our regulator, what they have done and the ease they have given to the industry is that you can now use a product and then file it. Because earlier the way it used to work is that you have to file a product first, take an approval, then use it. And the process would take months together, sometimes years together. And that would be a discouragement for the industry to innovate at a hyper speed and customize from an industry perspective, though the industry still did quite a bit. But now with the new regulatory changes and the customer expectation changes, you will see much more customization happening at a hyper speed, which I'm very excited about. And that would actually, from a customer perspective, be amazing. That's my feeling.
In fact, we saw a lot of customizations during the COVID period and post that. And we have also talked about that in our earlier episodes of Insure Smart. So customization, of course,
The second thing which I think as a company we embarked upon is, if I look at the banking sector, they have different customization also on the different customer segments that they have kept. So they would have product for mass, they would have product for HNIs, they would have product for the unbanked and how do you get them to banking. They would have a different segmentation. If you look at the insurance industry, they would have the same product for everybody. So I think what we did was very early on, we said let's do customization, let's do segmentation. And let's look at customer expectations on what products they want and the price point that they would look at and how does it work out. And then we said, okay, let's look at the high-end customers one. We did for all segmentation. Let me talk about this one. So from a high-end customer, high network customer, first thing they would want is that there should not be any hassle in terms of service, in terms of the ifs and buts or something. Should be a complete straight through, And the price point is not an issue for them because obviously the less hassle you have, the product would be priced on that basis. The point you say in terms of hassle means that anything may happen. Let's say a motor accident happens, then everything should be paid. Even consumables should be paid, which typically is not an accidental part of it, and no depreciation, nothing. So obviously the price point would be different. If you have a product in which depreciation happens, if you have a product in which there are no consumables being paid, then the price point would be different. Then we said let's make a product which says we pay. That anything happens, we just pay, no questions asked. And then on health, let's say you're taking treatment in India, and you feel that you have better chances of getting a better treatment in New York, why should you restrict yourself to be in India only? You should be able to go to New York, and your health policy should be able to cover the treatment in any part of the world. Why restrict yourself only to India. Then
But that would, of course, affect the cost.
yes, it will, because then no, because getting treatment in US would be much more expensive than in India, no, many times expensive, and we are aware it. So, but you want to that product, then the price point will move up. So, but earlier you had a flat product, no, irrespective of the choices. Today, as a customer, you have the choice of, let's say, going to a 5-star to have food. The price point will be different, or going to a dhaba to have food, or to going to a mid-sized restaurant of food. The price point will be different. It does not mean that, no, but the choice is there. You decide where you want to have.
Right.
So we are trying to put in product design specifications on the customer requirement needs, and those are amazing products in the way it's being looked at. First thing. Second thing is, we are also looking at simplifying the product so they understand better. Now, let us say if you take a pure product which only covers surgery, the price point is going to drop down much further. Now, when you go to a hospital, mostly if you think, why would you enter a hospital? Surgery is critical. If the surgery requirement, you have to go to hospital. There has to be an operation theatre. There has to be. But if you have normal, no, fever or something, you can get treatment at home also, no, under doctor's supervision. Now that would not entice the expenses of hospitalization. So let's say if you look for a pure surgery cover, then the price point drops again, no, because but it's again a very good cover. It takes care of, like, no, all the surgery expenses that will be incurred, but that price point drops. So it again depends. That is where the customization is.
Suitability.
Yeah, it depends on what exactly you're looking for, what the price point you're comfortable with, and what is that you're wanting it. So it's a full range now. At one end, which says that anything happens, you get reimbursed, or anywhere you want to go for treatment, please feel free. Don't worry, you get reimbursed. That would be a different. In fact, that can also have helicopter evacuations, or no, air ambulances, no. Covered in that. And other point you say, no, I don't want all that. Any surgery that I incur, I want that to be covered. So the price point would be different. But this choice should be available to the customer is the point. It is, no, it is not only about price, and not only about what cover are we giving. Customization means that you should, as a customer, be able to decide that this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I can afford to pay, and this is how I should pick it up.
So having the right options. So of course, customization is a large part that makes customer centricity, like I was saying. But there are other things like pricing we were talking about, of course. So the amount of premiums, the ease of transactions, including claim settlement, often becomes a big issue. So what about these aspects? What is the industry doing about these?
So on claim settlement, let's look at that. Is, to my mind, the biggest friction which gets the industry a bad name. If I look at the industry, they actually pay claims very well. Now, if you look at the data points, and it is available with the regulator, and that you can have access to that data, over 97-98% of the claims get paid. No, 1 or 2% would get rejected. Now, that should mean, if I look at any other industry, that's a stupendous performance. But the industry still gets a bad name. The reason is not about the claim payment; it is about the friction in the claim payment. Well, that is where the industry gets a bad name. Now, why is there friction? Because the industry would try its best to avoid the fraudulent claims to come in. Because again, the industry faces huge amount of fraud claims. Why? Because if they don't do so, it's public money. It's your premium. It's your money. Would you want your money to go to fraud? Or do you want the industry to protect your money from fraud and pay for genuine reasons? That's what you're paying your money for. Otherwise, you end up paying for fraudsters in the market, no? Now, that whole process creates friction. How do you solve that? Is the industry issue for a friction-free experience for the customer. One is make everything very smooth in terms of the information transfer. Because that is what the industry looks for, information transfer, and where the friction happens. So let's look at hospitals. So today if you go to a hospital, the biggest problem is getting all the bills, the documents, cashless, all the to and fro which happens, be it sending by email or the procedure, and that creates friction. So along with the government, the regulator, the industry is working in terms of setting up an exchange where the industry is plugging in their system and processes, and also getting hospitals to plug in. so that the flow of information becomes seamless. The moment the flow of information becomes seamless, from a customer perspective, it is like walk in and walk out. The hassle is completely gone. The customer is not looking after trying to get documents to send to the industry and then trying to pursue the industry to do so. Second, look at the new regulation. The regulators clearly said that the onus is on the companies to get the information. And they've stipulated TATs now that it has to go. So the purpose is to make it friction-free. If I look at motor claims, now to a large extent, cashless has made it quite friction-free. But now you also have options of clicking pictures, uploading, getting claims transferred straight together. If you look at crop, quite a few states have now moved to the technology part of it, the satellite images and all too. So it's fair, transparent, and the movement happens straight together. There's no arbitrariness of people's individual decision making and no whims and fancies of taking a claim. So industry loves transparency. Industry loves straight through, because then the fairness comes in and frauds get eliminated. So I think the industry is very, very proactive in taking up this initiatives to make it friction free, because it helps the industry get a very clear customer not only centricity or obsession, you may say so, but also that positive image that the industry is doing good. So that friction should go as hard as.
So that's good to hear. But in fact, we were doing a story recently, Outlook Money, and what happens in the fraud thing that you were mentioning is that maybe some people, maybe it's a very small percentage like you're mentioning, and I've seen the IDA numbers, of course the claim settle numbers are high, where they become unwitting victims of a fraudulent kind of situation. But anyway, that's a road that we have to see how it goes. So what, according to you, is the way forward on customer centricity in general and all the challenges that we have spoken about?
So let me first speak of the frauds. See, when you have hardcore frauds, that is still is a fight where you keep on trying to do. But the industry faces something in which I always say honest people commit frauds in the industry. I don't know if I've spoken to you about this or not. Let's say if you go to a garage and the garage says you have this scratches, I'll get your car painted. And you say, how will you do that? I said, no, if your insurance will do that. And you sign the document and give it to the garage. Now you're an honest guy. You have no intent of doing any kind of fraud, and you've never done fraud all your life. But that document that you sign and the claim that gets created is no more a scratch. It becomes an accident. You're not even aware about it. You become part of a fraud in which you're not even aware about. You go to a hospital and you say you're insured, and then suddenly your bills and everything gets inflated to a very high limit, and you become part of a fraud in which you're not even aware. That's why I say the industry loves transparency. It loves street flow of document, because then this part is gone. It's not public money which is going waste. Insurance is very funny. It operates on a very simple principle. It takes money from many to pay to a few. So let's say as a customer, you tell the industry, don't worry about fraud, just pay. And the industry starts paying. Then the money that they collect from many will start moving up, and then it will become unviable. The whole system will collapse, And that is why when I said that transparency is what the industry loves, to kill that is there. Now, from a customer centricity perspective, the only 2-3 things that if the industry does well, I would say it has done a good job for the country. First is figure out the country issues which the industry should solve. Let us say health for all. Now, I'm very happy. I think when I spoke to you last to what I speak to you today, you already had a lot of governments announcing health for all. The latest was Maharashtra government. They announced health for all, and I think that is something which I've been talking about for many years now. Yeah. The impact it has on the economy, the impact it has on the social welfare. Now, if I look at the manifesto that the BJP government had put before election, that for senior citizens they'll be providing health for all. We have to see how the budget comes on that basis and how it gets picked up. So it's picking up. The missing middle, as we call it, the poor have been provided, the ones who are buying, but about 40 crore Indians still want a health insurance. Now that is where the customization as to how do you work with the government or you create products will solve that. SME, MSME, the majority, which is over 90% are uninsured. When a catastrophe or a loss happens, an entrepreneur suddenly goes bankrupt. From being an industrialist, he comes on the road. How does the industry solve that in terms of customization or being the customer centric, or the natural catastrophic losses, which I mentioned what we talked about home insurance and how the floods, impact, or how people's livelihood suddenly disappears for years, or the economic condition of the country goes down because you have the instances. How do the industry solve and customize products to solve that? That is one level which the customer. Second is how the industry can make things seamless and make it friction-free for the genuine customer completely. And foster should be caught through data, not from friction in the claim process. It should be pure data. That is the second thing which the industry should do. And third is hyper customization, like I mentioned, all ranges, all price points, depending on what you want as a customer. You should be able to get something specifically designed for you. Regulator point of view, it's opened up. It's up to the industry to be able to do so. Will all this happen? Yes. I've already seen, and if you just between the conversation that we have had over some time, you just pick up an earlier conversation to now, you would see a lot of progress already happen.
Of course.
So if I look at the next 4 to 5 years, most of what we speak today will actually be happening. Very exciting times.
That's good to hear. Any last word to our viewers?
Yes, insurance is good. I have belief in that. And now the industry, with the regulatory changes have come in, with the outlook which is happening, can create what you want, demand from the industry, what you want.
That was Tapan Singhal for you, who spoke about customer centricity and how the insurance industry is working towards it. A little awareness from your side can go a long way in making it a seamless process. Thank you so much.